This is the Giants Postcast, your instant game reaction for the San Francisco Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and you may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR, or maybe from some of these other postcasts we do on the Locked On Sports Network. We also handle the Locked On Warriors postcast and the Locked On 49ers postcast. But today, the Giants narrowly avoided the sweep at the hands of the Reds as Mikey Yaz put one into McCovey Cove for the walk-off win in extra innings. The Giants offense rallied for a big 4-run sixth inning, scoring all of those runs with 2 outs. And Wilmer Flores also launched his league-leading 5th home run of the season in the 8th to tie it up. But they were in that situation because Justin Verlander had a pretty rough 3rd inning, giving up 5 runs and putting the Giants in a hole early on. The offense finally woke up, after failing to score in the first 2 games of the series. But is Justin Verlander's slow start to the season a big concern? We'll break it all down. But first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Giants YouTube channel. Please hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed. And thanks also for tuning in on the Locked On Giants podcast feed. However you're getting the show, we appreciate you tuning in, and make sure to check out the Locked On Giants daily show for more in-depth coverage. Ben Kaspick always doing a great job. And let's just go right to the end of this one because, I mean, Mikey Yaz, we heard from him in the postgame earlier this season when he had his first home run of the year that his daughter had actually asked him to hit that home run in that game. And he just said on the Giants postgame that he also had his daughter ask him for the splash hit. She had been reminding him, he said, that he hadn't got the splash hit yet. Well, he checks that box today and does it in dramatic fashion. It's a 2-run jack because, of course, that Manfred man was starting on second base. Still absolutely hate that rule, but the way they got there was pretty impressive to me. The Giants really early on looked like they were just dead in the water because they were not able to score. Looked like they were, it was just mistake after mistake after mistake early on. Let's get through this one because early on, Verlander looked good to start. Quick inning in the first inning. Second inning, strikes out the side. Looked like he was rolling. Then in the third, he gets into some trouble. He walks Jake Fraley, which sets the table for a big inning, gives up a single to forever Giant Austin Wynns. And then Friedel doubles to drive in a run, puts runners at second and third. Espinal, then an infield single, but Chapman holds the runner at third. Nobody scores. Now you got the bases juiced, and Ellie De La Cruz in the box, not really where you want to be. He doubles on a big chopper down the first baseline. It scores 2 more runs. Lamont Wade Jr. got a glove on the ball, but I really don't know how he did. Not an error because he would have needed, a go-go gadget arm, a Mr. Fantastic arm, something like that to be able to make that play. Not really sure how he even got the glove on it in the first place. That thing was well over his head. Then Gavin Lux singles and 2 more runs score. Reds taking a 5-0 lead. And on that single, Fitz did have a chance to make that play at second base, but a rocket off the bat of Lux in the infield playing in. Fitz was in an awkward position, could not snare it, and it was ruled a hit, not an error. Still, nonetheless, it's a play I would like to see him be able to make going forward. I know that we're not all on board with Fitz as the second baseman of the future, but again, time will tell if this is going to be the case for Fitz or not. And he had a pretty decent game at the dish. Then in the bottom of the 4th, the Giants get 1 run back. It really should have been more than that. Adames walked to lead off the inning, and then Jung-Hoo Lee triples down the line to score Adames. Giants score the first run of the series and finally get one on the board. But the Reds still were leading 5-1 at that point. Then Matt Chapman pops out, and Ramos comes up and hits a dribbler back to Martinez, who makes a great play off the mound, gets Lee at home. And I don't think anyone, including Jung-Hoo Lee, expected Martinez to try and go home with that one. But nonetheless, the Giants run into an out at home in a game where they're trailing by 4 runs. You cannot have that happen. Managed to not score any more runs in that inning. Then in the 5th inning, more turmoil for the Giants. Wilmer leadoff single. Bailey doubles into the right center field gap on his horse to get to second base. So the Giants get second and third with nobody out. But then a sharp grounder to Ellie De La Cruz at shortstop, and Wilmer is running on first contact. Not sure if Williams was sending the guys in this situation or if they were just running on their own on first contact, kind of just trying to be aggressive on the base paths. That is very much so what would be in line with what we've seen from the Giants on the base paths this year. They've been much more concertedly aggressive, but it was a huge mistake because Ellie has one of the best arms in all of baseball on the left side of the infield, and Wilmer's thrown out by like 20 feet, man. Second time the Giants have run into an out in this game. And again, you're trailing by 4 runs at this point. You cannot be having that. Lamonte Jr. then strikes out, and Willy Adames flies out to Will Benson. No runs score in that inning. You had runners at second and third with nobody out, and you've managed to not score. So at this point, it's really looking bleak for the Giants. I mean, it is a bad situation. Then in the 6th inning, top of the 6th, it gets a little worse because with 2 outs and 1 on at first, there's a grounder to Adames, and it looks like it's a pretty simple play. Tries to flip it over to Fitz, and it was just a bad toss. Fitz a little far away from the bag, can't get the out, and an error is charged to Adames on the play. Verlander then walks the next guy to load the bases, and now we're in a situation where you just had 1 on and 2 outs, and now you got the bases juiced, and the Reds feeling that momentum again. Verlander's day is then done at that point, and it was up and down, man. We'll talk about him a little bit later on in the show. But then in comes Trevino, who immediately walks in a run, eventually gets out of the inning without any more damage. But now the Reds have a 6-1 lead, and the Giants are trailing by 5. The way that they had been playing, absolutely did not think that they had really a chance to come back in this game. But then the bottom of the 6th happened, which is our turning point from today's game.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
And who else started it but Mikey Yastrzemski? He, after a Jung-Hoo Lee single to lead off the inning, Yaz doubles with 2 outs. So it puts the Giants at second and third, but as I said, 2 outs, and they have not been very good at these situational at-bats in recent games. And so after that, the Giants get a little bit of a gift. A ball in the dirt kicks away from Austin Wynns, and Jung-Hoo Lee scores. Gave the Giants a little bit of life there, and I think that kind of ignited this inning for the Giants. The Reds were still leading 6-2, but then a Wilmer Flores base hit to right field scores Mike Yastrzemski. Giants cutting into that lead 6-3 now. Then Martinez is pulled for forever Giant Taylor Rogers, and he comes in to face Pat Bailey, who laces a triple into Triple's alley in that right center field gap and scores Wilmer Flores. Now the lead is only 6-4, but the Giants are getting hot. Then up comes Fitz, who slaps a single to score Pat Bailey. And now the Giants have all the momentum. It was 6-5 at that point, but it felt like the Giants were rolling. They almost scored again in that inning. They had a Ellie De La Cruz error on a throw over to first on a Schmidt grounder. He was safe, and the inning continued on. Then they pulled Rogers, and Adames comes up next. Rips one to third base, but Espinal makes a great play in the third base shortstop hole on the left side of the infield and gets him at first by a half a step. And Adames, clearly frustrated, slams his helmet down, knowing that he has been not just getting some tough breaks, but also been struggling at the dish since he's been a Giant. He had that big walk-off hit for the Giants, but he has overall been struggling. That's something that we'll look to see turn around. I mean, the air in the field, I think, is a sign that he's kind of pressing right now. He's trying to make a play in every aspect of this game, and he's playing a little tight. I think that he needs to try and loosen up a little bit, and he will be okay. Then the Giants managed to clean inning in the 7th. Jung-Hoo Lee comes up in the bottom of the 7th with a leadoff double for his major league leading 7th double of the season. Shout out all the hooligans, by the way, the hooligans, if you guys saw that on YouTube or Instagram or Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. All the Jung-Hoo Lee unofficial fan club with the crazy flame hair and the matching shirts and the chants. That was awesome, man. If you haven't seen it, go look it up. But the Giants unable to score him. Big moment in this game. I thought that was maybe going to, if the Giants hadn't won this game, that would have been something that we looked back on as a big missed opportunity. Waste another runner in scoring position with less than 2 outs. But then in the bottom of the 8th inning, Wilmer Flores makes us forget all about it as he ties it up with a leadoff solo shot down the left field line into the tunnel over the Chevron cars out there in left field. And he's now tied for the league lead in home runs. Wilmer Flores, of all people. We've been talking a lot about first base production as just in the general Giants lexicon over the last year or so. And Wilmer's a part of that first base platoon, and we can't be saying that first base isn't having production when Wilmer Flores is one of those guys that's going to be manning that position this season, as he's tied for the league lead in home runs and also had another great game today. Multiple clutch hits from Wilmer. Then in the 9th, you get clean inning from Ryan Walker. And in the 10th, you got a clean inning from Eric Miller, which of course set up the Mike Yastrzemski 2-run walk-off splash hit. And before we go any further, let's go ahead and give out our player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
And I think you guys already know where we're going with this one. It is Mike Yastrzemski, because Mikey Yaz he is not appreciated enough by this fan base for the defense that he plays. And also, dude ends up always, every single year, being a pretty decent hitter for the Giants. He's their third outfielder as far as, you got two that are clearly higher in the pecking order on this team than he is. Jung-Hoo Lee and Elliot Ramos, two guys that are driving the ship for the Giants. And Mike Yastrzemski kind of gets left by the wayside sometimes when you're talking about key contributors to this team. But Mike Yastrzemski always ends up around 20 home runs. He always ends up being able to swipe a few bags and playing really great defense. He was a Gold Glove finalist last year in right field. I don't think there's a single player in Giants history at Oracle Park who has played that right field wall better than Mike Yastrzemski has. I mean, the way he's able to read that ball coming off the bricks is very uncanny. And I'm not saying he's the best right fielder they've ever had, not even saying he's the best defensive right fielder, but specifically in playing balls off the wall. And that's a tough wall to read with all those arches and weird bricks and all that. Mikey Yaz does a phenomenal job of it, probably better than anybody else that has played on this team. And today, key hit, obviously, multiple ones. He started that rally with the 2 outs in the 6th, which got the Giants going. And then he comes up with that walk-off splash hit into McCovey Cove. And man, Kipe's call on that, absolutely A1. How lucky are we to have Kruk and Kipe on the broadcast? I never get tired of listening to those guys, ever. I love Dave Fleming and John Miller as well, obviously, but Kruk and Kipe are just so special when they're in the booth together. It is, in my opinion, and maybe I'm biased, but it is the best pairing in all of Major League Baseball. We got more to talk about on tonight's show, or on today's show. It's a day game, so it's not nighttime yet here in San Francisco, at least. We got to talk about Justin Verlander, and I have a feeling you guys are going to be talking about it too. That's what's next on the Locked On Giants postcast. Today's show is sponsored by Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days, whether I'm snacking here at my desk, on a road trip, at Oracle Park, or if I just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open shells for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are also a classic favorite. That the fact that Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein providing all 9 essential amino acids just makes my day so much better, because I never feel bad. I never have that post-snack guilt. There's plenty of snacks out there that you are going to feel bad about eating, and Wonderful Pistachios is not one of them. I mean, these little green wonders pack a huge protein punch. And whether you're running between meetings or dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. Get snackin' and get crackin' with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. And today's show is sponsored by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where the heck did all my money go between dining out online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in just one place. So you stop managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I got all sorts of surprising insights. I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery, and now I budget smarter and save more. And it's got all-in-one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can just use Monarch, just this one app, to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. And managing your money with your partner is now smoother than ever with Monarch. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without all that stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and today the Giants, man, great comeback win. Mike Yastrzemski, the hero. Wilmer Flores, a couple huge moments in this game. But we also got to talk about Justin Verlander. And I have a feeling it's what a lot of Giants fans will be talking about after today's game.
This is what you'll be talking about.
And what you'll be talking about is Justin Verlander cooked? I mean, we know his age. He's the oldest player, not just in baseball, but in all four major sports. And he is looking his age right now, honestly. But let's take a whole look at today's game, because I don't think that we want to overreact here. I mean, he does bring a lot of other things to the table besides just wins and losses and what he does on the field. The main reason the Giants added this guy is to be a mentor for all these younger arms, to help push a guy like Logan Webb over the hump into finally winning a Cy Young, which I think he is more than capable of doing. He's the type of guy who can really help change a guy like Landon Roop, a guy like Hayden Birdsong, a guy like Kyle Harrison into more of pitchers rather than throwers, if Kyle Harrison ever makes it back up to the big league squad, of course. But he's a guy who in the locker room, his presence, his mindset of the game and all that, it's going to impact these younger arms. So all that is huge. However, it does not excuse the lack of production on the field that we've seen from him so far. And let's be real, his career at Oracle Park has not been very good. He doesn't have too many career starts here. I actually didn't realize until after we did the show in his prior start, in his first start at Oracle, he hadn't pitched at Oracle prior to his last start since the 2012 World Series, when Pablo Sandoval went yard 3 times in one game. The very iconic Jim Leland coming out of the dugout and Justin Verlander looking at him and throwing his hands up in the air and saying, "What the blank are you doing?" And I mean, I was personally at that game, and I was an 18-year-old kid at the time, and that was still to this day the greatest live baseball game I have ever personally attended. That absolutely lives in my brain as just legacy lore for the Giants and always will. But Justin, and just how loud Oracle got I mean, when Leland came out of the dugout for that Verlander visit back in the Detroit Tigers days for him, that was unreal. But now he's a Giant. He's got to figure it out. Oracle Park kind of not really getting behind him as much as I think that we need to as fans, to kind of show him that love, show him that, you know, he's now a Giant. We embrace him, all that kind of stuff. But today, man, he had a rough inning. But let's talk about it, because Verlander didn't really give up anything that was super troubling in that inning. He wasn't giving up bombs. He was giving up hard hits, but they were all on the ground. Like, all of these hits came 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits consecutively after that walk. So 6 consecutive batters that reached base safely. And if he had scattered those, it wouldn't have been a big deal. He would have had a solid game. We wouldn't really even be talking about it. We would actually be saying that Verlander had a pretty solid game, because other than those 6 hits, or other than those 6 base runners, he didn't give up really much more. Those were all 5 hits that he gave up in that sequence for today's game. Gave up a total of 3 walks, which is higher than you'd want, but he had 9 strikeouts. And that I mean, he had the swing and miss stuff going. He hit a rough patch right there. And of course, some of those hits were, you know, borderline outs. So if 1 or 2 breaks go the Giants' way, if that Ellie De La Cruz big bouncing ball down first baseline doesn't somehow swing way over Lamont Wade Jr.'s head, if that Gavin Lux single is fielded cleanly by Tyler Fitzgerald, it's not a 5-run inning. It is much, much, much less painful for Verlander to get through. So I think the jury is still out on him. I know that a lot of Giants fans are going to want to hastily react and scream and yell that this guy sucks and he's old and, give Harrison or Hayden Birdsong the starts. I get that. But we got to stay within the context of what's happening here. And Justin Verlander, he's Justin Verlander. He's got to have some more opportunity to get right before we completely throw him into the fire. That's all the time that we got for you guys today. Thanks so much for tuning into the Locked On Giants postcast. Didn't get much into the chat today, and I am sorry about that. We just ran out of time. So much to break down from today's game. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Love all you everydayers. Shout out each and every single one of you who's active in the chat every day. Love interacting with you guys. And thanks so much if you're just listening on the podcast feed. However you're getting the show, we appreciate it. Make sure you check out Ben Kaspik's Locked On Giants Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll see you next time, which is Friday. After an off day tomorrow, Giants start a huge road trip starting with the New York Yankees in Yankee Stadium. That's going to be a fun series. Make sure you're tuning into the show for that. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.